Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pop Anime Comics here from PopAnimeComics.com and the Pop Anime Comics Lounge podcast, where I interview voice actors, comic writers, artists, cosplayers, and professional wrestlers. New episodes every Sunday. Feel free to check it out on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. And this is the wrap up. We're talking about My Hero Academia Season 4, Episode 67. It's been like 2-3 weeks since I did one of these. I skipped Episode 66. So if you're looking for it, I apologize. I had some family stuff to take care of, but this episode's got a lot of stuff going on, and it's really broken into two parts in my opinion. So the first part is Deku and Miru on patrol. They're in their hero costumes, and they're just walking around, and this girl comes running up to them and kind of clings on to Deku a little bit, and she appears to be scared. And right behind her is Overhaul, the person that Deku and Miru are supposed to be investigating, along with Sir Night-Eye and his sidekick and their agency. And so it becomes a real dichotomy for Deku and Miru because they don't want to give away what they're doing to Overhaul and be investigative to him. But obviously the girl's name is Eri, and Overhaul reveals that. And from there, she's looking for help, and heroes typically help people. So Miru is trying to defuse the situation, make it so that they get out of it and they go back onto patrol. While Deku is like, we can't just leave her because a normal hero wouldn't leave her. And so it becomes real interesting. And then Overhaul says, oh, this is my daughter. And he reveals a lot of stuff and says, I'm having a hard time dealing with her. And Deku automatically assumes abuse. And she's disobeying. And that she's trembling, and that Overhaul makes an excuse for that. And one thing leads to another, then Overhaul says, fine, I'll show you what's going on. And they follow, and then Overhaul starts taking off his gloves, and Eri runs up to him, pretty much to go with him, to stop the killing intent. And Miru immediately recognizes that Overhaul has the intent to kill. And so then Miru and Deku back off. They call Sir Night-Eye. Sir Night-Eye meets them, and then he basically says, your day is over for today. And that they have new intel, but they don't have new intel. And they're teaming up with other agencies to deal with this problem. But pretty much it creates a very interesting situation for Deku in a lot of ways, where it's what is a hero supposed to do when they have a mission and they have to accomplish something. They're doing intel. How do you protect somebody and be a defender of peace and also be an icon and save people, which is what heroes are supposed to do, but also get your intel, get your job, and not exceed what you're supposed to do. And it's a very interesting situation because it's an interesting question as to how far are you supposed to go saving people, or are you supposed to stop the crime, and does that mean that maybe a few people have to get hurt in the process, sort of like what Eri was displaying for the overall good of saving a lot more people and stopping a massive criminal, which is what Overhaul is and where this show is going this season. And so it's a really interesting question. And I think this is asking it, and it's really nice that My Hero Academia, after 3 seasons and going into the 4th season, is now starting to ask really difficult questions like this of what is a hero, what are qualifications of heroes, and demonstrating the dilemmas that ensue in those processes. And the show has actually grown with its audience and in its nature with that idea and those ideologies being thrown around. And then the other side of the show is a lot less confrontational, but just as important, where basically Deku goes and finds All Might and asks him, what's the story between you and Sir Night-Eye? Why'd you choose me? And all sorts of stuff. And All Might basically tells the story. And what he says is that Sir Night-Eye was my sidekick. We worked together for 5 years. He was the brains behind the operation. And then after the fight against All for One, All Might's body was beat up. He was rather destroyed, and Sir Night-Eye thought that it was time for All Might to retire, pass his quirk on to the next person, and that it's time for a new symbol of peace to exist, because Sir Night-Eye wanted All Might to remain in his body, not destroyed, not killed, and not beat up. And Sir Night-Eye felt that at this point, since All for One is gone, it would give time for a new symbol of peace to rise up. The other heroes could handle it and fill in the gap that All Might left. And All Might disagreed wholeheartedly, said, but during that time, those 4 or 5 years that it's going to take, what's going to happen is that people are going to be afraid. There's going to be no symbol of peace. People are going to be in danger, and I can't let that happen. And so that's a really interesting situation where, in many ways, All Might to some degree is being selfish, but he's also being selfless, meaning that he wants to be the hero and he feels that the other heroes can't fill in and be protecting and prevent people being afraid. But at the same time, he also wants to prevent people from being afraid. And there's a whole psychological analysis that could be done on this, where, does analyzing All Might, and I'm not going to get into it, but it does throw that out there, where the discussion then becomes that can All Might let go of saving people and trusting other people to fill in the blanks for him? And or does he feel that he's the only one who could be the symbol of peace, and that's a huge responsibility? And he likes the stress to some degree on him, but he also feels that nobody else can handle that stress. And so it's very interesting when he said that. And it stood out to me in particular that maybe he also likes being the hero and that he doesn't want to give it up so quickly. And that's kind of why they had a parting to some degree, is partially because of being selfish and being selflessness. And so it's very interesting because I think it's a component of both to some degree. And I don't think My Hero is going to really explore that element too much, but I think it's there. And that's just my opinion on the issue. And then also All Might kind of alludes to the fact that Sir Night Eye also said that All Might will die in battle. And he said that'll happen in 6 or 7 years. So that means that it's going to happen the next year or two. And All Might further alludes. So before anybody says, oh my God, you said All Might's going to die. And I don't know anything because I'm not reading the manga. So I'm not completely out there, but he said the further it gets out into the future, the fuzzier it is, the details become less, the less accurate it becomes. So it's not 100% certain, but it's clear that that's thrown out there. And for Deku, he interprets that as death being thrusted upon him, and he then kind of turns it around and says to All Might, will you promise that you will see my success, and will you still be alive, and will you keep your promise to me? And All Might says, I'm going to try, and pretty much All Might confirms that he's going to try to keep his promise. So the death thing with All Might is now up in the air because it is out far in the future. Sir Night Eye's power and quirk, the further you go out, the harder it is to see it. And so it could very well be less accurate on what has happened, not to mention that a lot of other things, when he did that 7 years ago, things have changed. And so naturally, it raises questions on his quirk and his powers. But that's just something that's thrown out there in this episode. And I'm sure at some point it's going to be built upon, whether it's this season or another season or a movie or something is going to be built upon. Because it's too convenient to be thrown in there. But I think a lot of stuff in this episode is really like the building blocks for this season. I think the last 3 episodes in general in My Hero have been really wonderful building blocks. And then pretty much that's where the episode ends. And then in the end credits, Tomorrow meets with Overhaul and decides whether he's going to join him or not. And we don't really know if he's going to join him, but he has a meeting with him, and his meeting is less violent than the first one. So that's sort of hinting that they might be meeting and joining forces and working together to accomplish some goal, because this is the time for the villains to strike when the symbol of peace, which is what Sir Night Eye wanted to force 5 years ago to occur, is at a low point. And so that's kind of everything in this episode. Really fascinating. A lot of stuff. As I stated, a lot of building blocks. And a lot of building blocks is occurring. Because the last 4 episodes of this arc, whether this season is divided into 2 arcs or 1 arc, is clearly going to be there's going to be all the building blocks building up to one big, massive circumstance because that's how My Hero operates. And so it's going to be really, really good, and it's going to be fun to watch. And it's nice to see these building blocks and starting to go up to that critical point of the show. So that's everything I got for you. Really interesting episode. Thought it was fascinating. I think each episode is getting better in My Hero Academia, to be honest, and really cool show. So I'm just going to go through my social real quick. I appreciate everybody watching. If you like this video, you think I'm making a lot of sense. If you think I'm not making a lot of sense, feel free to let me know. Comments down below. That's what they're there for. And if you'd like to support this show and this YouTube channel and the podcast, I'm going to go through my socials, so feel free to subscribe, like, listen, and anything else that you do with it is up to you. So my social is the following. My website is popanimecomics.com. I write about anime, comics, and professional wrestling a lot. I'm taking a little bit of a hiatus, but I'm coming back strong, so definitely check that out. The podcast, as I stated in the beginning of this episode, is Pop Anime Comics Lounge. That can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, anywhere else where you listen to your podcasts. New episodes do come out every Sunday or every other Sunday, depending on the workload and how long the episode is. A lot of cool people out there. I got 110 of them out, so enough content to last you a while. If you're brand new, feel free to check it out, subscribe. It's a really good show. It's interview-based. My Facebook page, feel free to like that. That is Pop Anime Comics. Instagram, a lot of cool comic stuff, a lot of Pop Funkos, a lot of anime stuff is up there. That's Pop Anime Comics. My Twitter handle is at Pop Anime Comics. I have a shirt. It's at ProWrestlingTees.com. Legitimately type in Pop Anime Comics, and it'll bring you right to my shirt. It's an elf holding a steel chair. It's a really cool shirt. I got a few more designs coming in the next 3 to 4 months. So a lot of cool stuff's coming out there. So best way how to support this show, that is the only merchandise I have is my t-shirt. So feel free to check it out. It's a $20 shirt. That $20 goes a long way on the podcast, this channel, and everything else. And then you gotta support indie. You gotta support indie. If you love me, you hate me. If you hate me, you don't have to support me. Beautiful thing about America. But if you love me, buy a shirt, because that is the best way. I have no advertising. I don't make much money from the podcast. I make zero from the podcast, to be honest. And so feel free, please, if you like what I talk about, buy a shirt. Because it's a cool shirt for starters. And B, it is so helpful because it goes such a long way. And it tells people that, hey, I support this guy. This guy is doing cool stuff, and I want to buy his merch. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you for watching, and I will be back hopefully next week talking about more My Hero Academia, breaking down episodes, and having a good time with the wrap-up.